And tonight on the Daily Wrap, Planned Parenthood under fire once again after the release of a third undercover video. We talked to Tennessee Congressman Marsha Blackburn about her efforts to get the Justice Department to investigate. Donald Trump is crushing his competition, but will an article about his ex-wife take him down? And Mike Huckabee is standing by his comments comparing Iran to Nazi Germany. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host, Rick Unger. How are you?
I'm feeling good today, and yourself?
Outstanding.
Busy day?
Woke up at the beach.
Woke up at the beach?
Yes!
I did not wake up at the beach.
It's 106 degrees here in New York. You got to get away.
It's very hot, but that's okay because we've been busy with the news all day.
That's true. It's also getting hot for Planned Parenthood. We're going to talk about that in a second. That's called a transition, by the way.
Wow.
It's quite good, yes. To his right is America's pundit, and she is a Philly attorney, Heather Hansen. She is back once again. And finally, he's the editor of thewisdomdaily.com and a two-time Tony winner. Brad Hirschfield joins us. Yes.
I got an award from a guy named Tony twice.
You did, really?
Hey, go Tony.
Knows Tony Danza. Who knew? Okay, everybody, let's get right to the Daily Download. And as we said, the open Planned Parenthood under fire once again today on claims they sold fetus parts and tissue. The allegations come on the heels of a third undercover video produced last July by the pro-life group Center for Medical Progress. The video allegedly shows a tissue procurement buyer talking to a Planned Parenthood doctor about buying fetal tissue. Although we did blur the parts of the video that show a 12.5-week fetus, we still want to warn you that this video is disturbing.
I had no idea this was what was going to be happening, especially my first day. And she has tweezers, and she's like, okay, well, this is the head, this is the arm, this is a leg, and she hands them over. Oh, here you go. Can you show me some of the parts I just showed you? The main nurse was always trying to make sure that we got our specimens. No one else really cared, but the main nurse did because she knew that Planned Parenthood was getting compensated.
So the doctor tells the buyer she would prefer to sell in a per item deal, versus the whole fetus.
That 11.6 was pretty good. There was, there was like 3 or 4 samples we could have taken out of the 11.6. So that would be, if we were doing like, 50 to 75 per specimen, that would be like 200, 300, right? And we'd be comfortable with that. But like, so it's like stuff like this, like we don't want to be like just a flat fee of like 200 and then. Yeah, it's like
no, and I think the per item thing works a little better just because we can see how much we can get out of it.
Now, please note that it is a felony for any person to knowingly acquire, receive, or otherwise transfer any human fetal tissue for valuable consideration. Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richard told George Stephanopoulos last week that Planned Parenthood doctors do not adjust abortion procedures in order to preserve tissue.
The tapes appear to describe times when the clinics adjust the abortion procedure to better harvest.
It's not done.
The fetal
It's
organs.
absolutely not done. And I've talked to doctors all across the country. And look, we're
but it
totally
does
open
appear that that's what's being described in these tapes.
Well, it's because these tapes have been edited and they've tried to entrap doctors to say things. And listen, I stand behind the health care that we provide at Planned Parenthood. Women trust Planned Parenthood. And I look forward to anyone who wants to look into our policies and procedures. I mean, we've said that to Congress. The facts are on.
But when these doctors are talking about, and this gets graphic, but they're talking about less crunchy ways to perform these abortions so that the organs can be preserved, what's happening there? Are they just lying?
No, that's absolutely. All of this is taken out of context.
Okay, Rick, do you agree? Is this being taken out of context?
Here are the issues that I see. First of all, watching the videos, and I watched the first one in the entire 3-hour version. I've watched what's been available in the other 2. I could easily construe it in either direction, I think. Here's what is troubling me. I watched that interview with Cecile Richards on Sunday, and here's what bothered me. There were too many questions where she was asked a direct question. And she didn't give an answer. She gave a speech about how wonderful Planned Parenthood is.
Talking points.
Whenever I hear that, when somebody dodges the question, that makes me suspicious. So I know we're going to be speaking with Congressman Blackburn shortly, and I know that she has sent a letter to the Justice Department asking for an investigation, and I think she's right. I think that this is the sort of thing where an investigation works well for all sides. Let's find out what was really going on here.
Absolutely, quickly.
It may not work so well for Planned Parenthood, though.
Maybe
when
it will,
she talks
maybe it
about,
won't.
look at our policies and procedures, that's paper. You know, you can have all kinds of policies and procedures that say just the right things and follow the law. What are they actually doing? And clearly, she may not know what they're actually doing, but clearly, from what we saw in those tapes, what they're doing does not match up with what's written down in the law.
Okay, Brad, we'll get to you in a moment. Let's bring in
that's
Tennessee
not necessarily
Congressman
true.
Marsha Blackburn. Congressman, you and 134 of your colleagues are demanding that the Department of Justice investigate Planned Parenthood. Do you believe Attorney General Loretta Lynch will take up this case, however?
We are certainly hopeful, and the Attorney General should take up this case, and this is the reason why. There is bipartisan outrage at what people have seen on these tapes, and you know that this is a standard procedure for Planned Parenthood simply because of the casual and familiar nature with which they approach these conversations. And the more tapes that come out and reveal these conversations, the people are just absolutely appalled. They cannot believe this is taking place. So I would be hopeful that you would see the Attorney General take this up, and we will indeed continue with our investigations. You know, what we're asking the Attorney General to do is to look at this under the Interstate Commerce Clause to see if abortion clinics from different parts of the country were able to procure by manipulating these abortions, which is illegal, and then sell these across state lines. So there are several provisions that we will be looking at. We hope to see Attorney General will.
Congressman, you'd almost have to look at it from the Interstate Commerce Clause, because if you look at most of the laws at issue here, they all include a requirement of the Interstate Commerce Clause being effective. So that makes sense. And by the way, I support your request that there be an investigation. I think we should know whether Planned Parenthood has broken the law or if they haven't broken the law. But wouldn't you at least agree that when physicians talk about things, that those of us who are not doctors, who are civilians, it often comes across as clinical and hardcore, but yet they're doctors, and that's how doctors talk to each other. If they were to get emotional about everything, I don't think they could be doctors. So don't we need to be fair about that at least?
Well, of course, you expect that doctors are going to have a different approach, just as lawyers will have a different approach, just as bankers will have a different approach to an area where they consider that to be their area of expertise. But I think you have to look at what the manner in which they were carrying these conversations on, and it is, you can tell it is just absolutely abhorrent, the conduct. Talking about less crunchy methods, talking about manipulating the abortions, negotiating prices, not a set fee, but negotiating for different body parts, and that should come as concern, and it should be shocking to everyone as it is.
Congressman Blackburn, it's Brad Hirschfield. Very quickly, we're under a minute here. The head of Planned Parenthood has said she welcomes an investigation. So what is it that has to happen here? You said you're hopeful. It seems to me you should be more than hopeful. We should all be more than hopeful that an investigation should commence. The public wants it.
Well,
you brought people together who want it. Planned Parenthood said they want it.
Investigation at Energy and Commerce Committee. I mean, that is already underway. Department of Justice was an additional investigation that we were requesting on the specifics of how they pursued selling and brokering these body parts.
Okay, so we can expect an investigation, it sounds like, which I think
absolutely.
all sides
Both
want
the
and
House
welcome.
Energy and Commerce Committee and the House Judiciary Committee are already working on our investigations, and the hearings for those will begin in September.
That's great, thank you.
Congressman Marsha Blackburn, thank you for coming on tonight. We really do
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Okay, well, we want to hear your thoughts on the latest Planned Parenthood video. Newsmaxtv.com/comments. That's where you go. Newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know. We may read some on the air later in the show. Coming up next, Donald Trump's ex-wife says they are the best of friends. We'll tell you why that matters. That's next. Stay tuned.